Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 29 of my YouTube video series where I talk about a pretty controversial topic, which is why I'm still bullish on Iskandar Malaysia. Because many people come and tell me, hey Ryan, Iskandar Malaysia cannot make it ready lah. You still want to talk about Iskandar Malaysia, but I want to share with you some reasons why, and hopefully that will change your mind and give you a bit more idea about this belief that I have. Okay, so as per usual, let us start the video with a bit of introduction on myself.
Director of Alpha Marketing at Ryan
Still in Iskandar, Malaysia. So my name is Ryan.
Nama saya Ryan.
6,000 incoming supply in Johor. This is
I'm writing a thank you for attending today's presentation on Iskandar, Malaysia.
Okay, my name is Ryan Khoo. I'm a Malaysian. I've been based in Singapore since 2009, so I'm part Singaporean. I'm a Singapore PR. I have my family here. I'm married, and my kids are here. Go to school here, right? So I'm very into the Singapore psyche as well. But as a Malaysian, of course, I understand the Malaysian property market well. I'm a property investor first. I have made two pots of gold, I think, from property investing in real estate. So I consider myself a very experienced investor. And of course, I'm most familiar with the Singapore and Iskandar Malaysia markets, right? I have done a lot of talks for Singapore related events. I've written for the media, The Age. I've written for Property Guru. I've done events with ST Property and iProperty as well. I'm a bit of a well known a little bit in the market, and I'm also a property agent with ERA, both in Singapore and Malaysia. And yeah, so let me start with this event today. So this talk today. So why am I still bullish in Iskandar Malaysia? I said, Ryan, Iskandar property all lost money, right? And that's true. Actually, today, if you talk to many people, lots of people have lost money in the Iskandar property market, including myself. I have actually quite heavily invested in Iskandar Malaysia. I have lost money in a number of property projects there. But actually, I do have property projects in Iskandar Malaysia that have done well and made money as well. So it's a difficult thing sometimes to talk about Iskandar. And I'm down. A lot of people are down. And I had to share with you today why I think prices will recover. So let's start with the thing where I say that fundamentals ultimately for Iskandar Malaysia have not changed. And this is why I believe Iskandar will do well at some point in the future or recover sometime in the future. So number one, if you look at Singapore today, property prices are surging. I think everybody knows this, right? And if you compare Iskandar to Singapore, you will see that the price differential is huge, right? If I take a private condo in Iskandar and I compare to one in Singapore, in Woodlands or Jurong, some outskirt area, right? You will see that Singapore prices are like 3 times more, right? On average, maybe 5 to 6 times more. And in some cases in central CBD, Singapore, in District 9, 10, 11, you're talking about 10 times more than Iskandar Malaysia. And this kind of price differential is huge and totally illogical, right? If you consider that these places are only separated by like maybe 20, 30 kilometers, maximum, right? So how can a place that has 5 to 30 kilometers or 20 kilometers difference far away have a price differential that is so big, right? And I want to say that ever since the border opened, right, after COVID opened in April, you can see that the border is jammed again, right? And this shows that the demand for JB services or the interlink between the Iskandar and Singapore economy is very high. And you can look at the border is jammed again. You have 10 to 20 hours a day where the traffic is very heavy, right? This is a school peak period, of course, right? But even on non-peak period, right, the border is pretty jammed most of the time. So this shows that a lot of Malaysians are working in Singapore, and a lot of Singaporeans go to JB for leisure and for business as well. Don't forget, also for business, right? You'll be surprised the number of businesses that talk to us about what they can do in JB, right? So rents in Singapore are pretty high, right? This has also forced a lot of Malaysians who have been working in Singapore during the COVID period. They have to go back to Malaysia to rent because they can no longer afford rents in Singapore, right? And Iskandar is a beneficiary of that. We have seen rental prices in Iskandar recover, right? Compared to COVID-19 prices, right? And if you look at property prices, the blue one above is a private condo, the red one below is HDB. Singapore definitely has had a surge in prices. This is again common knowledge. Everybody knows it. It's in the media, right? Not just rental, but property prices are surging as well. So there are many Malaysians, even if they work in Singapore and they earn Sing dollar, they cannot afford to buy Singapore property. HDB is expensive, condo is expensive. So what can they buy? And they may not qualify because HDB has a lot of regulations, right? So this is where the RTS comes in. Now, what's the RTS? I like to joke it's the road to Singapore, but RTS refers to Rapid Transit System. Basically, it's an MRT, right, that's linking Woodlands to JB. They say, Ryan, I've heard this thing for so long already. What's the status? It's been built, yeah? You can go to Woodlands, take a look at it yourself. In fact, if you go to the causeway, you can start to see the little viaduct, the pillars from the sea, right, rising. It's not underground, it's above ground, across the causeway. Already start to appear. Construction is well underway and will complete by 2026, right? Singapore government and the Malaysia government have already issued a number of contracts for the works, right? This is probably probably the only major project to survive all the uncertainty in Malaysia recently, and it's still ongoing and is set for completion in 2026. So this is an MRT linking Woodlands North all the way to JB City Centre, right? This is an MRT station over here. I covered this in several videos in my past. You can go and check out my earlier YouTube videos about this. Some recommendations if you're interested to buy near the MRT, right? But this is currently under construction right now. And this is a big thing. Why is it important? Because it will improve connectivity, right? Connectivity is the big problem today. Why nobody struggle? Why people today struggle to go to JB? Because jam takes a lot of time. A bad period may be 3 hours, 6 hours to cross the border, right? In 3 to 6 hours, you can fly to Australia even, right? You can fly to KL, right? It's the amount of time it takes to travel between JB and Singapore can be ridiculous. And this is because of infrastructure that has not been upgraded over the years, but the RTS is coming. And what RTS comes in 2026, which is actually 4 years from now, you will see more people travel or people travel faster, right? You either get to JB in half an hour's time or more people can travel to JB. These are two very important things that will improve the JB economy and improve the property market in JB, right? So, and as I mentioned, lots of Malaysians, right? Of course, a big number of people who use this are the Malaysians, but are working in Singapore, but definitely a lot of Singaporean tourists also will use this as well. And we will fix these problems, right? Where you'll get better, right? Where we don't want massive queues like this. But this points out to what? Demand, right? What I want to show you, this slide, if you see this photo, you say, wow, Ryan, so bad at Jalan, how to buy property in JB? But on the other hand, think about it. This is an indicator of demand, right? The potential demand for real estate in Iskandar. Okay, so if you look at construction progress of the RTS, it's ongoing right now. This is a photo taken from the RTS public display center. You can see this is but of course it's more advanced than this. This is the building of this building here, which is the new immigration building for the MRT, right? This is in Singapore. There'll be another one in JB as well, right? And this connects to the Woodlands North MRT, as you can see in this slide. So basically the phase 1 and phase 2 is open today. You can see this brown color line. This is probably the major MRT that's being built in Singapore right now. And the phase 3, which will be all the way to Marina Bay, the government has said that it will be completed by end of this year, so latest by December of this year. Now, the Woodlands North line is interesting because what happens is you can go to Caldecott Bishan, you can go to Orchard, you can go to Marina Bay. And if this connects to JB, and basically what we are saying, in another 4 or 5 years from now, you can take an MRT from JB direct to Orchard. I repeat, you can take an MRT direct from JB to Orchard. You can take an MRT direct from JB to Marina Bay. Can you imagine the boom, right? The pow, the kind of wow. Think about that. It's like totally unthinkable today, right? A lot of people struggle to go to JB because of poor connectivity. But with this, suddenly a majority of the Singapore population who don't drive and who find it very troublesome to sit bus to go to JB, suddenly it's a lot easier to go to JB, and vice versa from JB come to Singapore. Okay, so this is where I think the RTS will be a game changer, right, in terms of how connected the JB economy to the Singapore economy, right? So next thing I'll talk about supply, right? Because a lot of people ask me, Ryan, how is the property supply in Iskandar? I heard there's an oversupply. How will the oversupply be resolved? Right, this slide shows you the number of completions in JB by major locations. I've done this slide a couple of years back. I did not update it for 2020 because actually in JB right now, there are hardly any new launches. I always challenge people, name me a few new launches in JB over the past couple of years, and most people struggle because there hasn't been actually any major new launch in JB since I think 2016, right? Maybe 2017, right? Hardly any new launch. That is good news because it shows that property supply is under control. We are not overbuilding. If we are still pumping in more condo to JB, then jialat, then we are screwed. But the good news is we are not. Supply has been pretty stable, right? And now the question is, all this unsold existing supply, can we clear it? And the good news is yes, right? If you look at landed property, right, this is a slide again I shared. These are new projects in JB for landed, right, and no more stock. No more stock. Landed sell very well because local prefer to buy landed. So all there are very limited stock of landed property from developer in JB. Right now, you look at the sub-sale market or the resale market to buy landed property in JB. If you look at high-rise, developers have also been clearing their stock. Example, EcoNest by EcoWorld, no more, fully sold. Developer have cleared the unsold. This is important because you don't want developer to compete with you. If you bought a unit here and developer goes still a unit, then you also screwed because developer can normally offer a better price than you. So you want developer to clear the unsold stock. For buyers who have not buy, this is a good opportunity to buy because now when the developer clearing their stock, they are normally giving very cheap good deals. And we have seen over the past 6 months or so, a lot of people are coming to buy good deals in projects such as Country Garden, Danga Bay, Tiga in Putri Harbour. A lot of units have been sold because prices are coming down from these developers as they try to clear stock during the COVID period where they are tight of cash flow. Okay, and there are more. If you're interested to find out more, you can come and contact me after this. I'll show you some other projects which still have balanced stock selling down pretty fast. And this is important, right? We need to clear the stock quickly so that the market can recover and the buyer buy in, they confidence because they buy at a cheap price and they, and it's a good deal for them, right? So again, if you come back to the end, the summary of what I'm trying to say, look at this price differential, right? Should it be so big? Definitely, Iskandar will never overtake Singapore price. Singapore will always be more expensive than Iskandar. But how big should this gap be? Right? 2 times, 3 times, that's illogical, right? Rightly much is illogical. If you look at other places in the world, Greater London, right? If you compare London to say Watford or even Milton Keynes, right? It's a very good example because of the train, right? You will see that prices, the gap are not so big. The gap is ridiculous, right? And Hong Kong, Shenzhen, of course, another example of where prices have narrowed. New York to New Jersey, right? New Jersey is here, right? Prices in New Jersey have caught up because New York became too expensive. And similarly, we see the same is going to happen for Iskandar Malaysia, right? The only thing, the big difference between these 3 places and Singapore, Iskandar, is connectivity. Today, Hong Kong, you got high-speed rail, you got MRT. London, there's a variety of trains that go out to the outer areas. New York, New Jersey, of course, infrastructure there is pretty good as well. So the problem with this place, with today, is we have connectivity problem. And when the connectivity improves with the RTS in 2026, you will see prices move up. And as long as I tell people, as long as you believe that Singapore will do well, right? And I believe Singapore will do well. Right? I've been in Singapore for so long. Singapore has done a fantastic job in pushing itself into a first world country. And this rightfully economic miracle, as many people say. And if you believe Singapore will continue to do well, Iskandar definitely will do as well. And one example is, for example, Iskandar Malaysia recently managed to attract 60.9 billion investments in Johor. First half of this year, and you may think that in a poor economic environment, Johor would be a strange place to get a lot of investment, right? But they did. But you know why? This is an example of spillover. Singapore, a lot of these investments are from data centers, right? And Singapore had a period maybe in the past 1-2 years ago where they stopped approving new data centers because of power supply concern and land concern. So a lot of these data centers, they went to the next best thing, which is JB, because JB is cheaper and we have also cheaper energy supply. So a lot of data centers came to JB as well. Like, in Singapore, we have the Facebook one. I think there's also a Google one, if I'm not wrong, in Singapore, right? And JB now managed to attract the Microsoft one. And there's 2 data centers also from China, right? Being built in JB as well. And also a 4th one, which is owned by Telecom Malaysia. So these are examples of economic spillover. So as long as Singapore does well, JB will do well as well. It's just a matter of catching up, right? And this is what I believe and why I say that the economic fundamentals of Iskandar is still there, and that it's a matter of time that the Iskandar property prices will catch up as well. Okay, so some key signs to watch out for. Number 1, completion of RTS, which, like I said, is 2026. But property prices may move before that because once the structure is more visible, the station is more visible, people will have confidence and they will buy in anticipation of completion. Number 2, as long as you see high-rise stock continue to fall, and they will fall to the point where developer is confident to launch new projects again, that's another positive sign. Third is, of course, increase in price gap. But if Singapore becomes more expensive, or Singapore introduce cooling measure where less and less people not able to buy Singapore property, they may have cash. I may have 300,000, 400,000 dollars cash in Singapore, but I cannot buy Singapore property because I have to pay ABSD or I kena TDSR, so I cannot buy the next one, right? So what do I do with this cash, right? They will consider places like Iskandar, right, to try and better the return on their money, right? Because interest rates in banks are generally still quite low, even though they're higher today, but they're still pretty low overall. And fourth, if you see improved political relations between Singapore and Malaysia, I think some of that will happen soon with Malaysian general election happening probably in the next few months, right? You will see an improved relations with Singapore and Malaysia. And when that happens, you will also see Iskandar Malaysia be a beneficiary of that as well, because a lot of Singapore's interest is in Johor, which is just next door. So these are the signs that I tell people to watch out for to see when the Iskandar prices will move up again strong, right? And this will happen to me in the lead up to the RTS completion in 2026. Okay, so that's it for my video today. I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe I was talking a bit fast today, but I want to cover this in a manner that you can understand quickly. Feel free to review my videos. I have lots of videos on my YouTube. And if you enjoy today's content, please like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel. And hope to see you again with other topics in the future. And feel free to comment on YouTube on my comments channel below. Thank you very much, and bye bye. Thank you.